Good evening, everybody. It's 6 o'clock on September 19th, 2023. It's a beautiful September evening. Be great for moose hunting. Here we are. This is a regular council meeting. And there are no additions or anything for the agenda. So can I have a motion to adopt the agenda?
I'll make a motion to adopt it.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Councillor Paquette, and thank you, Councillor Hanchar. Any more comments? All in favor? Carried. Motion to adopt the draft minutes from the committee of the whole meeting of September 5th, 2023.
I'll make a motion to adopt the draft minutes.
Second. Councillor Hanchar, thank you, Councillor Burtis. Any questions or comments?
Not for me, thank you.
Nothing for me, thank you.
All in favor? Carried. A motion to pay the open payables in the amount of $88,835.30.
I'll make a motion to pay the open payable.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Councillor Paquette. Thank you, Councillor Hanchar. Any questions or comments?
Not for me, thank you.
What is 61548 Yukon disc? I just didn't know what Yukon disc is. What's that?
It's Kennedy's lottery money from the grant
Okay,
application, is it not?
thank you.
$2,500?
Sounds like it.
1,500?
And 61562.
62.
That is a contract done full-time construction. I have to look up the dates to know
Gotcha.
exactly. Here.
What is 61551?
Avery Waytronics.
Yeah,
Yeah, sure. Maybe you could tell me what 61550 was for.
That was renting his equipment. He had to help on one of our digs, but we applied that to his balance system.
Okay,
It wasn't paid.
okay. Okay,
Oh, Avery Waytronics is charged for our recycling center. They have to send one shipment south each year. I believe it's for fluorescent bulb, but I'd have to confirm that, but that is the charge. And then what was the other?
Full-time construction.
That's- That was for work at the recreation center. I know that they didn't put the trim back and whatnot after the bowling alley flooring was completed, so that's what it's for. And the stalls back in the washer.
Okay. Thank you.
okay, any more questions for the payables?
no,
All in favor? Carried. Next, we have on the agenda the CAO report from Mrs. Bergeron. CAO Bergeron today.
All right. Can I give a brief update on each of the departments? So recreation, we're coming to the end of the season for our summer parks pool and NLC staff. The pool is going to be closing on September 30th. The rec center roof repairs are almost complete except for the installation of a few drains, which will be completed in the next couple of weeks. And work on the new roof at the ski chalet started today. So it's expected in the next 2 weeks. At the Northern Light Center, the hours have been reduced as of the beginning of September due to a lot of our summer students returning to school. So they're just working Monday to Friday, 8 a.m. to 9:30 at night. They have 3 staff members left. The center was well attended over the summer with approximately 30 to 50 daily tourists and more on days when they had caravans. It has started to slow into September now. They're probably averaging about 10 a day. And the last day for the Northern Light Center will be on September 29th. In municipal services, there were several digs completed at various locations throughout town and repairs completed to correct water leaks, etc. And these are now complete. The water treatment operators are now working on line flushing and hydrant winterization. Phase 1 of the infrastructure project started last week on Wednesday. The work on Tintina started last week and will be completed by approximately the middle of October. They will also be running lines under the Alaska Highway that they can connect to next year when they complete the Frank and Medella Trail in the spring. Francis Avenue lots have all been cleared. I'm waiting on a further update on the lift station and municipal service extension tenders. And I'll provide a further update on those projects at the next meeting. And there will be dry hydrant testing in town on the 26th and 27th of September. Public Works will be assisting with the flow testing. In solid waste, the Public Works drop-off area. So the Public Works crew is hauling the cap and clearing is being done in preparation of the start of the Public Works drop-off area contract in the spring. And Tetra Tech will be coming in the next couple of weeks to do ground testing to ensure that we're ready for the spring startup. At the Athene building, the landscaping project inspection by Yukon government has been completed, and they're working with the contractor regarding a couple of issues. We currently have tenders out for following capital purchases: a new fleet vehicle, water truck, and side-by-sides. We were recently selected for a GST audit by Revenue Canada. We sent in all of the requested information and received word last week that we passed the audit process with no adjustments required. To date in 2023, we've been approved on the following gas tax applications: landfill public drop-off area, sand and gravel structure, the emergency water tanker, roof replacement for the tourism storage buildings, recreation center roof repair phase 2, ski chalet roof replacement, and the bowling alley floor replacement. And at the fire department, we did have interviews last week, and we have extended an offer to a fire chief, which is currently being considered. We haven't received word back yet.
Oh, great, great.
Any questions for me?
So what, does it,
Well, I just want to know the side by side thing. I
Yeah.
just don't, that's, I just don't recall that.
you said sun,
In the capital budget. One for last year and one which was approved in
That's fine.
What is
My question is about that.
one is at the landfill and one there for the perimeter
Okay,
when they have to do their checks.
yeah,
And one is for recreation,
okay.
for trail maintenance.
Was that for like when the White Lake stuff gets done sort of thing, where they were going to use it to plow? I don't know, I don't recall.
Neither.
seems
Anyway.
fresh, but it would be in our capital budget.
Yes.
So take
Yeah,
a look at,
take a
look at that, and then,
Okay,
that'll have to come to us for purchase
Yeah.
agreement, so if it's something, because this is kind of new, I thought there might have been one.
for the perimeter check, I think I recall maybe that one, I just don't recall the other one.
And they're both within.
Okay. Thank you, CAO Aqua, for sure. Just so it just comes off my tongue that way. So thanks for that. And next on the agenda, we have the policing report. Nobody here tonight, unfortunately, but I hope everybody had a chance to look at it. Was there any questions or comments?
Who would answer them? Yes, I don't, yeah, no, I do not enjoy,
Appreciate.
that's a better word. The thoroughness and the notable things that they mention of what's, members involved in the community. Certain things that may have happened, helps to, explain the why, and there's, various rumors around town, like when they had the ordinance going off at the sand pit and all the rumors that accompany things like that. So it's nice to get the official version.
It looks like they're active. I appreciate that.
They're busy.
Yeah, they're busy. So they do stuff.
So that's all. Comment is keep doing.
Okay. Councilor Hancher, any other comments?
No,
Okay.
thank you.
Okay, Councilor Paquette?
I'm good, thanks.
Okay, so we'll just keep moving along. Next on our agenda, number 6, we have the AYC update. Councilor Hancher and Councilor Paquette.
I'm gonna,
KYC this year was in CarMax.
this quarter, yeah.
This quarter, yep, and we talked about our resolutions and the responses that we got from government, and if there was anything that we in particular needed to do. Comprehensive municipal grant, that working group, they have concluded their work, and so that is now with the minister, and it's up to them to get back to us. Landfill agreements, Watson Lake, Teslin, CarMax, and Mayo have agreements, and there are others. City of Dawson has signed on an agreement a few years ago, so they were ahead of the game of everybody, and there's a few others that are interested as well in signing them. There's the extended producer responsibility, which is looking at shifting the operational responsibility as well as the cost of managing specific waste away from the municipal tax base and towards the producers instead. What else did we talk about? Let me have a look. I don't have my papers in front of me, but there was, so next year it will be held in Dawson City, the AGM in April 25th to the 28th.
Oh, yeah, but it was determined that, there was previous discussion about moving the, AYC AGM from Mother's Day weekend into April. That's not gonna work out anymore, so it's going back to Mother's Day weekend. So, it'll be May, whatever that falls on, 11th, whatever, so it'll be that weekend in Dawson City.
Awesome.
Yeah.
There
One of the
is,
main things like going forward, I think that, I mean, obviously focusing on lots of things, it was pretty busy actually, but the CMG review is gonna be like the main file that kind of I don't wanna say highest importance, but it's up there. And they recommended that we maybe invite our MLA to council, or maybe we could just let her know that we would like her to be pushing on that issue for us, to have that review done. So there has been some communication back and forth between AYC and the Yukon government regarding that, but still not quite there.
Okay.
we had some guest speakers from Team Yukon. Talked about basically what it is like a helicopter medevac sort of concept, where they can access people that by helicopter that can't be accessed in any other way. So there was
Like a fly medic service that, you know, basically would prevent our, I guess if it were to work out the way that, you know, they hope.
They're hoping.
That it would prevent our ambulances from having to leave town to a remote area to do a call, which takes away from our community resources for a number.
Like down the highway.
Like quite a few hours, yeah. So
well, and
remote-
also being able
Remote
to access
fly
them,
this.
like in a mountain that nobody else can
Mhm.
kind of access
Yeah.
them as well. And so then if they were significantly injured, taking them directly to like more of a tertiary care facility as opposed to like Watson Lake, that where they'd have to be like Watson, and then you wait for an ambulance, and then, you know, like a medevac. So that's kind of one of the other thought processes as well.
Sorry, that was just a guest speaker that was speaking on that.
Yeah, so
Like
everybody-
they ran that.
So it's an organization, it's called Team, with a
PEAM.
couple extra letters in there.
Yeah.
And they're from BC, but they're looking to set up a base in Yukon to work with Yukon government, and I don't know if they really be working with EMS or if it would just be
Like their own.
help out, but all of, yeah. They're looking to set up a base in Whitehorse, basically. So it was just an info session. I don't think they're really looking for support necessarily at that meeting. But they were handing out contact information and stuff like that. So I'm sure that's.
They're nonprofit, and so they get a lot of funding from the mines and stuff like that, so, yeah. What else? There is a new AYC travel policy that was talked about that's specific to like AYC staff. They talked about the canoe procurement, which we had conversations about as well. All of us. And then there was conversation about the municipal census, town of Barrow having increased workers in their community accessing their infrastructure, and if there was some way that they could add that population to their population
They're
numbers.
calling it a shadow population.
Yeah,
Because they have a tremendous amount of people working and living there, on that mine project.
Mhm.
Sorry, Janine, I didn't cut you
Okay.
off. So they're looking to do their own census, I guess, and hopes that, I think they would be compensated for that, those extra people being there, because they're all obviously utilizing all the services, there.
and they would be entitled to more grants, to get more grant money because their population base would be larger.
And it also opened up a conversation to, you know, the fact that it really evident in Faro, obviously, because of that project, but it's also, similar for a lot of other communities as well,
Yeah.
right? Exactly. You know, we got highway people,
Region.
surrounding community, yeah, exactly.
Well, Dawson City and their tourism base, jumps huge, right? So you have a lot of people.
So
So,
it's
yeah,
an ongoing conversation, but, that was something we talked about.
Interesting.
so,
Okay.
yeah, so that was pretty much it.
Okay, great.
Yeah,
Sounds productive. Both the EMS helicopter increasing their service to the communities. I bet you that came about from the discussion of private enterprise or such,
yeah.
right? Anything added to that EMS service would be gratefully accepted, I'm sure, right?
Yeah, definitely.
And then the shadow population is interesting to me. Okay, thank you.
There was a lot of conversation, like, Danina said about, the resolutions and stuff that we passed at the AGM. There are lots of correspondence going back and forth with government. I don't know what exactly we're allowed to say right at this point, because the large chunk of that conversation was in camera. So I just want to confirm that before I share it with you.
Okay, good. Was it regarding our own resolution, the EMS resolution?
We talked about all of the resolutions.
about all of them.
Responses that we
Yeah.
got from them,
Okay,
government.
okay, well, we'll leave it at that then. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you for taking the time to attend and thank you for being a part of that.
My pleasure.
Appreciate it. It's a long ways to go. Are you busy?
Disc golf, just saying.
Yeah, we also check out
And
the.
the town of Faro actually has put on their disc golf like the town of Faro. I don't know,
Carmack.
there's some Carmack, sorry. That's
Like
something
on
that,
their-
yeah,
Oh,
they're
cool.
discs.
They hand them out at the visitor center, and I don't know if it's the village that purchased them or what, but they're nice discs, and I'm not sure if they're putters or drivers or whatever. But they're pretty nice, and they have like a holographic thing on the front that says Village of Carmax. And then they have that course there, of course, and yeah, it was neat.
Cool. Good idea.
She emailed me one, so it's neat.
Cool. Okay, great. Well, we're gonna move right along. Thank you again for that. Next on our agenda, we have number 7, which is an admin report regarding the Help and Hope Families Community Services Grant. I will go over the admin report here. It's prepared by Shannon Bergeron. Request for receipt of community services grant past the deadline. The purpose is to Help and Hope for Family Society has written a letter to Mayor and Council requesting the granting of the community services grant to their society, which has now passed the deadline for applications. The financial implications are the grant amount of $8,853.79, which is 50% of their total tax amount of $17,707.57. Was budgeted. However, since the application was not received prior to the due date, this has caused penalties and interest as of September 14th, 2023. These costs are $1,905.98. The letter that Help and Hope states they have no record of receiving the application form for the grant. However, this grant application was sent out in their tax notice and was also emailed with a reminder of deadline on May 18th, 2023, as per the attachment. In addition, the administration office left 2 messages as a reminder when the report for grant approval was being prepared for council. Even though it was the responsibility of the society to ensure the application prior to the deadline. The letter from them also does not include their financials as per the requirement for the application. So there are three recommendations from administration. Allow Help and Hope to complete the application with the required financial statements for review by council and approve the grant as per budgeted of $8,853.79. The remaining penalties and interest would be the responsibility of the society. Number two, allow Help and Hope to complete the application with the required financial statements for review by council and approve the grant as per our budgeted amount of $8,852.79. The remaining penalties and interest would be written off. Decline the request for Help and Hope to receive the grant as they have missed the deadline. Discussion.
So. I guess right off the bat, I feel like we're not talking about something that's late by a week or whatever. We're talking about something that's 4 months late. And still does not, and still has not submitted the application and has not supplied the required documentation. So I feel like we shouldn't really be having this conversation without those, because our policy clearly states that those are things that must be submitted in order for it to be reviewed. I don't think it's fair to the other organizations that have submitted the documents. I understand that things happen, you know, whatever, but they just haven't even supplied the documents. I asked Tiffany today to see a copy of the application because I wanted to see, maybe it's like an onerous process, you know, maybe but it's a 1-page document, a very simple form. And then you attach the requested documents from your own organization. So it seems pretty simple to me to complete. So for me right now, with just knowing all of that information and given the fact that it's been so long and it's basically free money, they just have to complete this 1-page document on time. It's not a small ask. It's $8,800 from the taxpayers that they're asking. And in my opinion, like for me, I'm not prepared to make a decision on this tonight until we see those financials.
Good. Thank you, Councilor Hanchar.
I also feel that this isn't the first time that they've done this. They know that this is the process year and year after year. So why is it that they know the process? Why is it that they didn't seek us out sooner to say, oh, hey, I didn't get that, or I lost that, or whatever that might be within the deadline?
And
I know it's coming.
well, and just to add on, we do have documentation proving the fact that there was numerous reminders and outreach from our administration. So for them to insinuate that we did not do our due diligence, also it's incorrect. So there's that as well.
Councilor Slager, any comments?
Option one.
Okay.
Is what I'm in favor of. I think that, you know, we know it's an NGO. There was some talk whether or not that they would even fall under that category. Because it is a government funded services, it'd be the same thing as like the liquor store, really. Well, the liquor store is no profit. I was just trying to think of another government business. But anyway, option one, give them the grant money that they would normally get, plus the interest as like, there's your
Punishment?
if you will.
But like,
But you know what I mean?
Okay.
Yes, option one is what I'm in favor of.
Okay, Councilor Burtis, any comments?
no, just, I sort of agree with Lauren though, where we should have all their proper information prior to making a decision, just because it's a process. There's a process there. And I think everybody has to follow that process, so.
I don't know, Shannon might be able to add to this. My comments would be that these are processes that we put in place. And we did this policy, we set these guidelines. We said that there's deadlines for a reason. We need to have those things done.
And the policy that we reviewed, 3 of us in this room.
Yeah.
That says must be supplied
Right.
in bold underlined as well. So that's sorry.
So ultimately, it's council's decision. So if you guys would like to make a motion, this is a regular council meeting.
I'm not against number one, but I'd rather than have everything put together before giving it to them?
I'll make a motion to table this admin report until the next committee of the whole meeting. Where we will talk about it if we have received the appropriate documentation.
Okay.
And if admin can reach out to.
Okay, Councillor Hanchar, Councillor Paquette. Any other motions on the table?
I think we have to vote on that one, or do we?
Yeah. Well, unless there's another motion.
I make a motion that we just go with option one and settle this matter tonight.
So since there's two motions on the table, I'll ask for a vote. All in favor of Councillor Hanchar's motion to table? Three. So we will table that vote, that admin report till the regular committee of the whole or the committee of the whole meeting in October, where we request financials. If we don't see financials by then, we can reassess.
Which is October 3rd.
Councillor Paquette was a seconder. I think that's fair. They might be able to save the situation, but many of us wrote those policies for a purpose. We have to stand by the things that we do, and we can't change. We write policies for a reason,
Sets
so
a precedent.
it sets a precedent for everything. We're creating policies to hold to. Okay. Thank you, everybody. Next on the agenda, we have the admin report for lot 6, block 65, plan 98-114. I'm going to read a little bit of it. I'm going to leave out any names that I can see or go with. So, I'll do my best here.
Can we just follow the recommendation that the bylaw officer has only recently been able to communicate with the owner of
Sure.
the house?
Yeah.
To make them aware of the situation and recommend that we table this issue until further action can be taken to try and rectify the situation?
Sure, that would be great.
Make a motion?
I'll make that motion I will provide a further update at the next council meeting. That we just go with that and we let the people involved know that that yes, their concerns were heard and were taking place and that we are following our due diligence and continuing to try our best.
Perfect.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Councillor Slager. Thank you, Councillor Hanchar. All in favor? Carried?
There's a lot of names in that. It's
Yeah, exactly.
hard. It's
So-
like a riddle.
In the gallery, it's, there's some disputes over property and usage of those properties. And work with bylaw has been ongoing. The owners don't live. Period. And so there's some very difficult situations to deal with, and it's it could be private. So we'll leave it at that. So thank you, Councillor Slager. Thank you, Councillor
You
Hanchar.
can also go back and listen to the audio file of the last committee of the whole meeting and hear the delegation for that.
Yes, we did have a delegation. Jordan Teeters brought in some information, so
WatsonLake.ca.
watsonlake.ca. Thanks. Thanks, Councillor Hanchar. Okay. Next on the agenda, number 9, is the admin report regarding the urban visitor signs. Okay. Provide information and seek direction for the urban visitor signs. I'm going to read this. The town of Watson Lake was asked by the Watson Lake Chamber of Commerce to take over the administration and maintenance of the urban visitor signs program along the highway corridor on either side of town. The urban visitor sign program is a partnership with the Yukon government as they installed the signposts along the highway right away, with the Watson Lake Chamber administering the program and collecting the fees for such. Administration reached out to the government to advise of the request, change of administration, and to obtain a copy of the contract between the two parties. Once it was confirmed by YG that we could proceed, the town of Watson Lake agreed to take over the UVS program from the chamber and reached out to the business community in April of 2023 to advise of the change. Administration also obtained the UVS agreement, application form, and information sheet that the chamber had used to make and made appropriate amendments. However, left all prices and conditions the same. Since this takeover, there have been 2 businesses inquire about the program and the cost to have signs installed. Neither party proceeded, and one business stated that fees were too high for smaller scale businesses and asked that the price be reduced as an exception. Administration denied the request to waive or lower the fees for the business owner, but suggested that a letter be written regarding the request to be taken to council for consideration. As per the timeline of this agenda, we did not receive a letter for consideration. Administration would like council to provide direction on how to proceed with the administration of the urban visitor sign program and for the current agreement and fee structure to be reviewed. There are 3 recommendations: that the town remove all signs from the highway right-of-way signposts this fall and return the signs to the rightful owners. Administration can work with council on a policy around the UVS program and establish a fee structure. Administration will do outreach to all businesses once policy has been established to get signs installed for the upcoming tourist season. Administration will also look for and possibly apply for funding to potentially alleviate the financial burdens of a UVS advertisements for local businesses. The town continue to use current UVS agreement and fee structure, remove any sign that does not meet requirements, and lobby for new signs to be installed by business owners. The town continue to use the current UVS agreement and do a review of the fee structure and lobby for new signs to be installed by business owners. Comments, questions, discussion?
Well, I like the preferred one, except maybe change, like, because if some of the signs are in good standing, why would you take them down? And people have already paid.
Agree.
Okay.
Favor option 1, I'd like to see some consultation with the business community and policy drafted, and then to have a wholesome conversation about it once that's done.
But I think if people are taking their signs down that have already paid, they should not have to pay that $400 again to sign back up.
We're just talking about the
Derelict sign.
yeah,
Yeah.
Or businesses that are.
because it actually says in the thing that you can notify them, because it actually says in the policy that they'll be notified and then they will be removed.
Yeah.
Councilor Slager?
I really don't know. I keep in my mind, I think to myself, if a one-time cost of $400 and $200 per year after that is enough to sink your business, maybe you're in the wrong business.
Because advertising is expensive no matter what, any kind of advertising. But there's funding to get to.
Okay, so the community calendar that they have.
Yeah.
The daycare one with the pictures and whatnot. What's the price for one of those little
I
tiny
don't
stores?
know that.
Does anyone know?
$100.
Sure?
$100.
$100.
$100. So if you're paying $100 for that on a community calendar. I mean, it's a one-time 400, but then it's 200 after that.
I will just say, Councilor Slager, like, we do have to do some work on that policy. And for the time being, we'll probably bring that policy to the table so we can review the pricing. But we don't have that policy in front of us today. So, I mean, for the immediate situation, we can call for that policy to be reviewed, put it on the table, bring it to a committee of the whole, make some decisions at that point.
Gotcha.
And
We're just adopting a policy, right? Like, that's pretty much what we're doing.
It's not even created yet.
No,
Or
but like,
like, sorry,
there's
there's
this
this whole.
structure, but it's from the chambers, right?
That's right.
that's right. We have to revisit it.
Yeah.
However, that being said, all those things, I also think to myself, it's like, I could see for the labor and wages, but like, once the sign's up there, it's not like we like repaint them or anything. Maybe we should look at just I guess we'll have to relook at the policy.
Yes, and we have to hear from the community. We have to ask the business community what they want to do, There's lots of things we should take into consideration before we
That's what
decide.
the other municipalities are doing as well.
That's right. We need some more information, right?
We do, and if you consider what most businesses pay in land taxes already, for business tax,
It's a lot.
it is a lot, so maybe with your business license, you could get a sign.
So I heard that mentioned somewhere and I can't remember where, but I guess my only issue with that is not every business is gonna want to sign.
Well, if you want,
So-
okay, so if you want to sign, say, with your business license and given the fact that you operate within the municipality of Watson Lake, you would get a sign for a one-time charge of, say, $200. You provide the sign,
Has to meet these standards.
sheet of plywood. And go from there. I don't know, but we gotta talk
Anyway,
about it.
yeah.
So as per this admin report and the information that we've been given, we can ask for that policy to come
Yeah, I like
at the next committee of the whole. Right?
Is that enough time?
We can have it for the next committee of the whole. Oh, sure. There's an existing one that was built by the chamber that we.
Acting trip you're trying to get to?
Yes,
So are we,
what's broken?
so this proposal, it's not looking at right now until we actually view the policy.
That's, I think, better
Yeah,
process.
for sure.
So as if everybody's in favor of recommendation number one, I could use a motion. And then you can amend
No.
We are looking at this? Because I mean, right now you're saying remove all signs from highway right of.
Oh, yeah.
You could amend.
Yeah.
And so I don't know that we need to remove them all, but I think that people that do have businesses that have signs that are derelict, that need to remove them. That's where I was coming from with the money that they've already paid. In order to
So
put up
if we
another
say,
sign.
so if we say, I'll make a motion to go with recommendation number one, but leave the signs up that are still in good condition, that have already been paid for.
I will second that motion.
Perfect, Counselor Armstrong.
I like that.
Counselor Burtis. Anything else on the table? All in favor? Carried. Okay, so and we will have that policy in front of us for the next committee of the whole meeting, which is October.
Third,
Thank you.
Perfect, thank you.
I just add a few comments to that. That the chamber looked at it as a money-making endeavor. You know, the town might not look at it as a money-making endeavor. There is funding pots that the town could apply for as a municipality to help businesses. If that's what we want to do. I somewhat agree with Councillor Slager when you're looking at marketing is expensive, no matter what you're trying to do. So you have to consider that a return on investment of some kind. You know, it costs money to run a business, period. So things,
yeah.
food for thought for the policy and it does need some work and I'm glad that we'll get a chance to.
Thank you.
We're good?
Yep.
Okay. All right, next on the agenda is number 10,
It's my-
the fire protection bylaw. Sorry, let me read this again. First reading of bylaw 18-12 being the fire protection and life safety bylaw.
And we're just doing first read to get it on the floor, is that right?
Correct. Councilor Henshaw.
I'll make a motion for first reading of bylaw 18-12 being the fire protection and life safety bylaw.
I will second.
Thank you, Councilor Henshaw. Thank you, Councilor Burtis. Any immediate comments or questions?
Looking at this bylaw and the firefighter bylaw in separate entities, correct?
Yeah, so this isn't the volunteer fire one, this is the one actually for like the fire department as a department in the municipality, right?
Yeah.
This is different, yeah.
Or, yeah,
We're keeping them separate. We've decided
Yes.
on that? Okay, thank you.
Okay, all in favor? Carried.
and now it's,
And now it's for public, yeah, and it'll be on the website.
oh, I guess the only, oh, shoot, that wasn't for this one, I'm sorry.
Okay, number 11. First reading of bylaw 10-13 being the general maintenance bylaw. Again, just to open it up, so for the public. Begin the process.
I'll make a motion for first reading of bylaw 10-13 being the general maintenance bylaw.
Thank you, Councilor Henshaw. Thank you, Councilor Burtis. Any immediate questions or comments?
Comment going forward, this isn't Kenora. This isn't Kelowna. This is Watson Lake Yukon, and when we look at other maintenance bylaws, we should consider if we're going to copy and paste as for our usual. When we look at others to compare it to, let's look at other northern examples, something that says that, you know, like. Something that reflects a northern culture, if you will, rather than like your sunflowers can only be 6.5 feet high. And the homeowners association will come knocking on your door if you paint your house this color. We need to have something that reflects our culture. So that being said, just so the comment moving forward with this, to find examples that aren't from Whistler or Kenora or some other, you know what I mean?
So you'll do some research?
I could.
Okay. But yeah, I just think, you're not wrong, Councilor Slager. I think you're 100% correct. And I also think, in our last meeting, someone commented that they'd like to see a public meeting, town hall meeting.
Community
I
consultation.
think there's some good consultation to be had here, good conversation. You know, this bylaw is very dated. 2013 was the last time it was reviewed, so it's definitely needs some input, you know? None of us are experts, so.
It's not terrible in a lot of ways, but in some ways it is, such as like the penalties where a $5,000 fine or imprisonment for 6 months. Or
Better cut your grass.
But again, I think one of the things that we're going to really run into is we have a lot of like Tintana housing, Yukon housing. And I don't know if they subcontract their grass mowing or what, but I had some relatives come up from down south. And they're looking around and said, wow, people don't like fences or cutting their grass around here, do they? And almost everywhere it was either there was a reason for each one, but
That doesn't mean we have to accept that. You
No,
know what I
no,
mean?
no,
In
I'm
fact,
not
if it's
saying-
in here, we should be going after the government to be in compliance with our bylaws.
I understand that, but like, we're far ways away from somebody running around with a ruler checking whether you have 2.5 or 4
I have
inches.
a bylaw officer.
Got bigger
Yeah.
problems.
And I don't know, I think it is an opportunity because one of our OCP biggest topics was community beautification. And if we can strengthen the ability to enforce these issues gently, then hopefully we can clean up our community.
I
Okay.
think, yeah, I think what you were saying about community consultation, I think that's a big one, like just see what the community has to say about that.
Mhm.
Whether that's a public meeting or something.
Well, we're almost ready for a
Web-based, I
town
don't
hall
know.
meeting with budget
Budget.
season and et cetera, so this
So-
could fall under.
Okay.
So one thing when you're looking at this, the special permit is $50 and in your fees, and in the fees that we just finished completing, special permits is still $50, so. Something to think about. This was from 2010.
Well, the other thing too, that a lot of the comments or concerns regarding community beautification are the look as you drive into town, and it just so happens that one used to be CP Collision and Towing. There was a bunch of vehicles there because it was a auto wrecking yard. There was BJ's lot, which is right there, and guess what? They haul wrecked vehicles. That's where they put them. It was more of a zoning issue, the fact that those things were once placed right beside the highway. And you know what I mean? Like, so it's not the business's fault that that's the business they're in, and that's, you know what I mean? Like, it's just,
But it's just moved across the highway where AFD is.
it's zoned that way though.
These are all things we can take to the community, get back some good feedback, and like I said, hopefully strengthen our ability to enforce the situation that it is gently. You know, we don't want to push everybody out of town, but we would like to have a better looking community. Right?
And you can zone it that way, but you can then also put up like where you have to have a fence so that, you know, you're driving on the highway, you're not seeing all of this derelict, right? And so, I mean, there's things that can be done to sort of like make it so it's not so visible. Welcome to the Yukon, welcome to Watson Lake. This is what the first thing you see driving into town.
Could be signposts on the side of the road, as Councilor Sager's been saying for more than 4 years.
So did I get an all in favor for the,
But
Counselor Slager, did I get an all in favor for the first reading?
absolutely.
All in favor for the first reading of the general abatements bylaw? Perfect. Okay. Number 12 on our agenda is the Health and Safety Community Meeting. We discussed it in length at the committee of the whole meeting, and we had some discussions about having, Stan and House of Wolf and Associates come as like a community event to really structure the direction of what our health and safety should be in our community. We haven't heard anything, I don't believe, from Wolf and Associates yet on when they can be available, right? So we're still working.
So, yeah, I guess my just like side thoughts on that are, like at what point do we just move ahead with them? Just because I think to wait 6 or 8 months or whatever it is, like, I mean, I would argue that it's already kind of lost a little bit of steam, not that the issue has gone away at all. I would still, like, I think that there's still like some major things that need to be addressed. But at what point do we just start moving ahead or looking at other options? Because I think waiting that long is not the best idea. And just while I'm not sure if I mentioned this earlier or not, but when we were at AYC, we had a presentation from somebody from, forgive me, I forgot my notes, but from Health and Social Services, but he's involved with the team that's involved with the substance use strategy that's works or being implemented or whatever. And he was really knowledgeable about a lot of the treatment options and a lot of the like resources that are available for a lot of people for a lot of different things. And a lot of the ways that the government is kind of like approaching it. So I just think it would be probably beneficial to either invite that individual, who I will get you the name of and contact information, or somebody from their team to attend that as well, because I think that they can add some really valuable information to what we're trying to accomplish.
Okay. Well, since I'm not hunting, I can follow up with admin and get some information on when that House of Wolf Associates will be available.
Yeah,
And get a better timeline for our meeting in October, and hopefully have some definitive dates. And if we don't have definitive dates, we'll come up with something.
Okay, thank you.
Okay,
And I'll get you that contact information.
perfect. Because I think House of Wolf is a good leader initially for this process. You know, they've done it, they've got expertise.
For sure,
And-
honestly, that's the dream, right? Like, I think they're
But you're 100% right that we can't wait till next year for them to be available, so we should.
I'm not saying we shouldn't like still, try and work with them.
Yeah.
But if it's gonna be a year from now, then maybe that should just be separate from this.
Well, maybe they can give us some direction as what we could do to prepare for that house, for that process. Great. And like I said, since I'm not hunting, I can get a hold of, I'll come up with admin and find out some dates and stuff for them. Okay. Number 13, there was an emergency measures meeting last week, which Councillor Paquette and Councillor Slager attended awesomely.
I didn't attend.
It's actually.
Oh,
Councilor
Councilor- Oh, okay. Oh, and Shannon and CAO Bergeron. So can you give us a little review of what happened there, and if there's anything they're looking for from council immediately, or when their next meeting might be, etc.
Do you wanna go first, Shannon, or shall I? So
You sent us an update. You could probably look.
I did. I mean, I'll read the update that I sent to everyone afterwards. It was like, okay, so the meeting was about what we would do in an emergency situation, such as an active shooter, or more important, wildfires approaching Watson Lake. As at the meeting, we found out when it was all smoky that Monday night, the fire that was sending ash our way and making it look like Armageddon was 24 kilometers from Watson Lake, 22 kilometers from Liard, 20 kilometers in a straight line from Junction 37, and 28 kilometers from Lower Post. You may be wondering, only 2 kilometers, but where it was, as the crow flies, that was the distance. And the fire had traveled between 6 and 8 kilometers that day, which was quite unprecedented because they had 70 km/h winds, and there was talk about the decent cabins. We also got to learn about dew points. 0.6 millimeters of rain is enough to affect grass. 1.3 millimeters is enough for coniferous forests. We received 2 to 3 millimeters of rain just in that day. We had a 5 to 6 millimeters of accumulated rain over 2 days. Basically, the rain saved us. We got lucky. And given the forecast that followed with additional rain, it was looking good to slow that fire down significantly. But the question in the room became, well, let's just say, what would happen if we did need to evacuate the community of Watts Lake? We talked about the various options we had, which would be to go south, to go to Ross River, or to go to Whitehorse, right? So we have 3 different exit points. How would we know for people at risk, elderly, the people that are fairly immobile, like how would we make sure that each person was accounted for in Watts Lake? And in our emergency plan, everything was focused around everyone go to the rec center, we'll figure it out once we get there. So basically what we need to do is have a look at our emergency plan. Elephant is bringing in people that are paid to do things. Consultant, thank you. Sorry, long day. They're bringing in a consultant on October 23rd to do a mock. They were going to do a mock fire evac, but instead Harlan Schilling noted that an active shooter scenario would be more beneficial as it has more parts moving and you have less time to prepare. And that's where you really test your communication between your various groups, whether it be RCMP, EMS, firefighters, hospital, various forms, levels of government. And in an evac notice, your phone would go off. And if it was like, get out now, everyone's phone in the community would say, this is not a test, and it would give you instructions on what's happening, right? So what was suggested / agreed upon is going to be another interagency meeting. After October 23rd, they're going to do their mock, however situation they decide to choose. But in mid-January, we're going to reconvene and talk about our what is our emergency plan with regards to various things, right? The other thing that became glaringly apparent was backup power. There's only 2 buildings in Watson Lake currently that have a backup generator, those being the hospital and the municipal services building. And we had talked for many years previous, even the very first time I sat on council, we looked at putting a generator into the rec center that would be able to accommodate the rec center's needs in an emergency situation. So I think that's one of the steps that the town could follow up on and do to make sure that our emergency plan is not only current, but would meet our needs.
Mhm.
So we need to look at the emergency plan.
Awesome.
Sure, is that not on the plan for, because I think there's like money this year for it, that from the government, right? Emergency, yeah,
Measures.
that's the thing that's here, that's the thing that the Yukon government is pushing for all the municipalities to have those plans in place. Pretty sure.
And it is just the communication process is the biggest one, right? Top down, making sure everybody on all departments knows what's happening immediately and then getting the word out as fast as possible.
Well, I think it's one thing for all of the agencies or responders to know what's going on, but the community also needs to know what they're supposed to do.
Yeah.
Like, and just make sure that that information is out there ahead of time. Like, if this happens, you just as you're one person in your house, this is what you need to do. Because I think that that's a big part that's missing. I think it's fine and well for.
So that was brought up at
Yeah.
the meeting, because it was like, well, you can't exactly post on Watts Lake Sunshine, and be like, guess what? Everything's on fire, run.
Whether that's like they have a copy of it or what, who knows, but.
Well,
It's
so in 2018, when Laura Post burnt, Harlan was saying it taught lower post, an invaluable lesson about like how to keep account of their populace, and they have a list of everyone that's there. You know, they know that they have this many elders and 36 people that would need extra care or assistance or somehow there, so they have a list prepared already of who would need what kind of help.
Right.
Right, and I don't know if Elephant is gonna follow suit or how the town goes about doing that, but like, I think in the last census, like 33% of our population is over 60. If I'm not mistaken by
The
that,
last time census was done, it wasn't a very good job either. I don't know.
but we do have an aging population.
Oh,
And
undoubtedly.
how do we go about, do we do, and the talk was, do we go with the old call out tree, like you're responsible for phoning this person? Or do we appoint like certain heads of families in town? Because there are some very large families in town and say, okay, you're responsible for everyone under your lineage, if you will, or like how, you know what I mean? Even the school is updating their emergency plan to meet various needs, and that's due at the end of next month to the Yukon government. So the recent fire season has taught a lot of people a lot of lessons about what you think is gonna happen versus what actually happens.
Yep.
So they're making people start to think about it a little bit more rather than like, you know, so that was the main thing. Mid-January, there will be another meeting. In the meantime, we do need to look at our emergency plan, perhaps not in the very next one, because we have a lot of things that are tabled for the next meeting, but perhaps November sometime, I would
Yeah.
suggest.
I will add that Colin O'Hare had initiated the conversation around that emergency plan process. And there was a couple of meetings with the stakeholders on that process. So there was some information gathered and a little bit of a start on that. So hopefully a new fire chief can kind of follow up on that and continue that conversation, because you're 100% correct when you look around the country and see what's going on, and knowing that it's not a matter of if, it's just when, because it's the state we're at. So we just want to make sure that everybody's safe.
Yep.
And figuring out who's in the community and when is a very difficult task. Like there's a changing every day. We're a transient community. I would say it's almost impossible to know who's in the community at what time. So a chain of communications critical.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks, Councillor Slager. Shannon, do you want to add anything to that meeting?
Yeah, I don't really have much to add from there. I think as Councillor Slager said, the ask was for everyone who was in attendance to go back and just review their emergency plan. See if there is one, you know,
Yeah.
and then come back and they want it to be quarterly until we feel like, you know, the communication is there and we would be ready for something.
I would also add that this is a critical issue to work hand in hand with Elephant on. Like
Yes.
it's not a matter of we want to, we have to. Because we need their information, they need our information, we need to have a collaborated outcome as to what this plan looks like. So hopefully we can find some stakeholders to work with on this. Is there anything else for the emergency measure meeting that anybody wants to?
No, thank you for going.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks, Thomas.
Yep, thank you, Councillor Slager, for attending that in short notice. Appreciate it. The next item on our agenda is the council open forum. Is there any items for council open forum?
Some written down with that.
And two.
Councillor Slager?
I don't know if this would fall into no, it's not the general maintenance bylaw. Well, it might. We could add it in perhaps. It seems to be that I've been receiving a lot of complaints from people that have neighbors that have cameras pointed not to protect their property, but for spying purposes on each other. And just to be vindictive and spiteful versus any real purpose other than the fact of just trying to be annoying. And I'm wondering if any of our, like, it's not, I mean, I don't know, do we have anything on?
I believe there is something on those bylaws, and I believe, yeah, it's something like that, but there's also things like you can't block, like if your property has the ability to block people from accessing their own property, you can't do that. You have to respect privacy of a property, which that wouldn't be doing.
No, because like if your driveway is,
And I'm pretty sure it's a territorial issue.
well, I know the RCMP have been contacted in both cases and they basically said. Our hands are tied, we don't know what to do here.
I'll look into that one for you.
So there's that, and then in keeping with that same. I don't know how to put this delicately. Do we have a fencing bylaw that says if you build your fence on somebody else's property by 4 to 10 inches? That it now becomes like, say I live next door to you. And I built a fence between our properties and I put the fence 4 to 10 inches. I encroached on your property by that much. Most people would say, oh, well, there's a fence there. You paid for the fence. Thank you. But this is not the case. What's happening is there's threats that this is now my fence. I'm going to take it down. I'm not going to put another one back up. Do we have any?
I would direct you to the zoning bylaw and fences, definition of fence.
I looked at it and I couldn't find this. It just has like heights. It
And
has,
so, sorry,
go.
I was gonna say. The person whose property it's on has had the lot surveyed. And it's been determined that the fence is on their property a bit. And so that's what the issue is.
Yes, by 4 to 10 inches. And I thought to myself, geez, could someone sit down and just say,
At the end of the day, your property is your property.
it is, and I said the legal right would be like if it is actually on said person's property, then well, they can do whatever that fence if they want to.
Yeah.
However, what would be best for both parties involved is they could just sit down and come to an amicable solution and say,
It's always the best solution.
right?
Always. the
But
best.
it appears that may be difficult and a mediator of some sort might be required.
Well, that would be by law,
There we go. So,
unfortunately for bylaw. Because if people can't work together in said situation, that's unfortunate, but bylaw would have to visit that and see what would fall under the information that she has.
okay, so it's not to destroy anyone's privacy. Can we direct bylaw at a later date to said properties?
Sure.
Okay,
Just
Thank you.
contact admin and let
yeah,
them know.
I will do that. Thank you.
Where did you find that, Thomas, in here?
Where would,
Bylaw, where did you find that about the?
there's things in there for fencing. I've looked under various bylaws. It has like if your lot is on a corner lot, your fence cannot be over so high because it destroys not destroys it. It limits the visibility of traffic. It can't be over 8 feet high. It can't, like there's
Is it under
Rules for
9
fence, but
landscape
I know what
and aesthetic?
there's nothing regarding this situation that I could find.
The landscaping and anesthetic, that's where it's under fencing and buffering.
So, anyway.
Is there anything else? Thank you, Councilor Slager. And yes, please ask admin to direct bylaw. Fair enough, Shan? Okay. Councilor Paquette, any questions
No,
for Councilor Open Forum?
good, thank you.
Councilor Burtis?
Were we in receipt of a reach out from the minister to meet? It's fall time. Sounds like he met with a lot of other communities. He said that invites were going out. I don't know that we even have anything to talk about, but I think it's always probably like a good idea to touch base, you know. I'm just curious if we were.
Not, I'm just
Intentionally
checking.
not reached out to.
No, and the last time I spoke with the minister was actually on Wednesday. Prior to the meeting about that Thomas Slager went, or Councilor Slager went. Just regarding the fire and the issue going on, but no discussion of a visit. And
Because they usually do their fall
tour.
community tour, but even if it was by Zoom or whatever, I think, as it has been, I think, past few years.
They just want to get into the party just to say no.
Well,
Clearly should be doing his job.
do we not always have things to talk to them about?
Yeah, we always do. The mess is always an issue.
That's not his department anymore, but yeah. Anyway, I was just curious.
We have not been engaged with. And I have had conversations with him, so I would imagine that if there was that process, then he would have mentioned it. Should we reach out for an invite and see if you want me to reach out and see if you come down for a visit? Talk about CMG. Can talk
Yeah,
about,
there's probably a handful of things that we could really get into.
sure. Continued
Sort of
support
principle.
for our infrastructure, and I'll reach out to him. I don't mind. He won't come, so.
I just.
Yeah.
I heard that he was reaching out to all the communities to set up. Like meetings, because like you said, fall community tour or whatever, and that never happened, but I had heard that he had met with other communities. So I was just wondering if we were intentionally not.
Okay.
I don't know, invited or whatever.
I'll reach out to Minister Mostyn and see if he's available for a visit. Okay. Anything else for council open forum? Council Paquette?
No, so I'm just looking at the zoning bylaw and they're talking about yards and setbacks. So I was just looking at that, thinking that maybe that might be something to look at.
You'd have to apply for a variance previously. Anyway,
Council Slager?
did we ask the rec center if they ordered any more plates or cutlery as per the request of the last meeting? I mentioned that we're expecting a dinner around 350, 400 people and we don't have near the plates. Not so much cups, but it's in a week and a half and there's lots of lead time given on this, so.
To that.
Sure.
So I did reach out to Yukon Supply Center in Whitehorse. I gave them a list of all the things that we would need to bring our stuff up to about 400 capacity. I followed up today because I still have not heard a response.
Perfect, thank you. That's it.
All right, we do not have any in camera for today, so
Motion to adjourn?
Oh, take it.
thank you guys, Slager, Kenneth, Burtis, all in favor, carried.
Thanks.
All right.
Stop recording.